Good evening, church family. Alex Wooten here with the Lilies Chapel Church of Christ. This is our Sunday evening lesson. And tonight we are starting a new series that should take us about a year, give or take, on our Sunday evening worships. And it is titled Questions That Jesus Asked. And tonight, the first one is, who do you say I am? Have you ever had somebody ask you a question that just stuck with you? Like, you couldn't shake it off days later. You can't figure out why. It just would not leave your head. Maybe it was a teacher who looked at you dead in the eye and said, is this the best work you can do? Maybe it was your mom or your dad asking, where were you last night? Or possibly your spouse saying, hey, are you really listening to me? Sometimes questions don't just ask for an answer. They demand one. That's what Jesus was doing in Matthew chapter 16. He wasn't just filling in silence. He wasn't just looking for gossip about the crowd thought. He wanted something much deeper. Let's read together in Matthew chapter 16, verse 13 through 16. And when Jesus came to the region of Caesarea and Philippi, he asked his disciples, who do people say the Son of Man is? They replied, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. But what about you? Who do you say I am? Simon Peter then answered, you are the Messiah, Son of the living God. And there it is, that question that still echoes today. Who do you say I am? The question is personal. Notice how Jesus shifts the conversation. First, it's quite general. What are people saying about me? And I'm sure that they had conversations like this. You talk with your friends about things like this all the time. And the disciples toss out answers. John the Baptist, Jesus' cousin. Elijah, Jeremiah, everyone had an opinion. They had these ideas and these thoughts. But Jesus then sharpens the focus to them directly and says, okay, but what about you? Who do you say I am? It's not about what grandma believed or what your preacher says or what your favorite podcast claims. It's personal. Faith cannot be second-handed. You cannot ride into heaven on your parents' faith. You can't live forever on your spouse's convictions. At some point, the question lands in your lap. Let me illustrate it like this. Imagine someone saying, who is Alex Wooten? Well, people could say, I've heard he's just some preacher in Northeast Texas, or some say he's addicted to coffee. Some might say he has far too many toys for a 38-year-old man. And those are all absolutely true, but they're not the whole story. To really answer, they'd have to know me personally. That's what Jesus is after, a personal confession, not borrowed opinions. You see, Jesus' question is still personal to us today. Who do you say he is? Not who do I say he is to you? Not what culture says, but you. Secondly, the world is going to offer many, many, many different answers. When Jesus first asked, the disciples then rattled off those names, John the Baptist, Elijah, Jeremiah, one of the prophets. People knew that Jesus was different. He was set apart, but they didn't really quite know where to put him. And isn't that still true today? Ask your coworkers, your classmates, your neighbors, and you'll hear, oh, Jesus, he was an amazing moral teacher. He was a revolutionary. Some might say he was a prophet. Honestly, some might say he's just a myth. Everyone has a different answer for that situation, for that question. But here's the problem. You can't just call him a good teacher if he claimed to be God. That's not an option that he left open. C.S. Lewis puts it bluntly, Jesus is either a liar, a lunatic, or Lord. So don't be shocked when the world offers half answers. Jesus is still asking that deeper question. Who do you say I am today? Thirdly, we have then Peter's confession. The Christ, the Son of the living God. Peter then blurts out in very classic Peter form, short, bold, and true, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Unpack that. The Christ, the Greek word for Messiah, the anointed king, the one all of Israel had been waiting for. It's not a name, it's a title. The Son of the living God. Not just a prophet of the past, not a dead religion, but living connection to the living God. Jesus then says, "Blessed are you, Simon, O son of Jonah, for it was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven." That means that our faith then is personal, but it's also spirit-led. God himself reveals who Jesus really is. Our confession then shapes everything. If Jesus really is the Christ, he's more than just a nice addition to my life. He is my life. Fourthly, Jesus then goes on this rock I build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. Now, this isn't about Peter being special. It's about the confession that Peter made. The church is built on that foundation of truth. Jesus is the Christ, Son of the living God. Everything flows from that. If Jesus is Lord, then he has authority over my decisions. If Jesus is Christ, then my hope is not in politics or possessions, but in him. And that's how that works. If Jesus is the Son of God, then he deserves my worship, not just my respect. How you answer that question determines everything: your values, your direction, your eternity. Fifthly, Jesus is still asking these questions today. That's what makes this passage so alive. Jesus isn't asking first century fishermen anymore. He's asking you. And you can ignore a lot of questions in life. You can dodge, delay, and shrug off plenty of decisions. I do it as a parent every day. Dad, can I have this to drink? I ask your mom. Dad, can I do this? No, I don't think so. What are you talking about? Dad, no, we can do this. We can do that about everything. But we cannot, as Christians, do this. We cannot dodge this question. Who do you say that Jesus is? I think of stories like Lee Strobel, an atheist journalist who set out to disprove Christianity but couldn't escape the evidence of the life of Jesus. Eventually, he answered the question, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God," and it changed his life. Or maybe your own story. Maybe you wrestled with this in Bible school, or sitting in church as a teenager, or kneeling beside a bed in a moment of brokenness, and Jesus asked, and you had an answer. Some questions you can brush off, but not this one. Jesus doesn't want to know what the world says. He's looking at you in the eye today, and he's asking, but what about you? Who do you say I am? And your answer will shape your life, your eternity, your everything. So who do you say he is? If there's anything we can do for you, I ask that you come down, or that you reach out in any way, and that you know that we here at the Lily's Chapel Church of Christ, we're open, we're ready for you. We want to help you. God bless.